I decided to pay more attention to the works of Honda Shing. If anyone does not remember or did not know, this is the author of the Dismemberment Pack, and my choice fell on Kiriko. Kiriko consists of 2 different stories of the same name original and the continuation of Kiriko Kills. Judging by the comments, someone went to the second part, someone did not. One thing is for sure, most of you will laugh. And this is despite the fact that comedy moments were not deliberately created in the manga. Also, the scenes with the dismemberment are very graphic, so I won't be able to put most of them, even with partial censorship. And so let's figure out who Sprat is and what she's taking revenge for. But before that, I ask you to subscribe to my channel and like this video. 17 years after the tragic death of 15-year-old bitch Okumura, all former classmates receive a letter from a certain K. According to the content, they are invited to visit the old and now abandoned school to remember the girl together. Open the time capsule and make sure of the truth. Almost in full force, our heroes meet in front of the old school and head inside. Let me introduce them to you right away. The main character is a dark-haired girl Minzuha, and a technician Kazuya, the blonde Ryo, musician Masao Kato, writer Hidetaka, and now presumed dead Setsuka Akimura. At the entrance, the heroes share the squalor of the former educational institution, although what can you do, all rural schools are like that. There were only 7 of them in the class at that time, including Setsuka, and no matter what happened, they were always inseparable. When the students graduated, life took them to different places, and if not for this letter from a certain Vike, it is unlikely that their paths would have crossed again. By making a common table by moving the desks, our heroes sit down. One musician Masao Kara is missing. Since the letter says K, everyone thinks that this is the person who sent them the letter. Nevertheless, those present decided not to wait for the instigator. Cutting offers to drink to Setsuka. After some time, and a certain amount of alcohol drunk, the people began to have fun. Kazuya happily remembers how cute Setsuka was. The girl was like an angel, and everyone at school loved her. The blonde supports, saying that he confessed to her hundreds of times, but was rejected. He replies that 3 more confessions, and Setsuka would definitely be his. Ryo offers to leave this school, and continue the party at her nightclub. She's in charge there now, so she's treating. Kazuya calls her club a diner, but the blonde asks what he has achieved in life. Nothing special. Kazu has a family and 2 children, and he is also just the president of an IT company. Ryo is impressed, as is Leski, whose ceiling is the family-free life of an ordinary civil servant. The president of an IT company does not agree with the mood of a friend, saying that every job is important. Mizuha is also single, works as an insurance agent, although all she hears is that the dark-haired one is alone. Hidetaka is the last to tell about himself. He became a famous writer, was nominated for the prestigious Agave Award. Then the characters begin to reflect, if Setsuka were alive, who would she become? Rila suggests that the deceased could have become an actress or even an idol. Kazuya says that the girl was worthy of even more because she was the best of all, and how sad that she was gone. Our central character thinks that finding out the true cause of her death is exactly what he came here for in general. It's starting to rain heavily outside the window. Kazuya goes to the bathroom. On the way, he grabs his head, thinking that he has passed it well with this cheap drink. Passing by one class on the periphery, he notices both, much like a bitch. But when he turns around, he finds no one in the classroom, so he blames everything on hallucinations from cheap swill. The rain is getting heavier. An approaching figure can be seen in the window. This is Masao Kato. They ask him where the instigator was. Kato replies that he just returned from the USA to Japan today. He says that he has been traveling as a musician for more than 20 years, and then shows his letter, and asks what does the word instigator mean. After all, it wasn't him who sent the letter and thought that K meant Kazuya. The IT guy, by the way, has already finished urinating and went out into the corridor. Ryo was waiting for him there, reminding that they were not just friends at school. The blonde begins to snuggle up to the guy, offering to start all over again, even if he has a wife and children. For her, it's all just a formality. Kazuya pinches her lip painfully and tells her to shut up. He sees through the blonde and understands perfectly well that she itched under the spacesuit after the statement, that he is the president of these companies. Having retired to smoke in the girl's room in a squat and with your underpants pulled down over the good old hole in the floor. Do not laugh, this is important. Madame gets angry after a very rude answer. According to her, she was 24 years old herself, but now one lover got married, and the second one too. This IT guy also thinks a lot about himself, and Ryo, as a result, was left with a broken trough. Suddenly there is a loud sound, and then a giant skinny hand looks out of the toilet hole. She reaches out further, her palm is placed on Ryo's face. In the classroom, everyone else hears a strange sound. Going to the toilet, the guys ask Mizuha to check. Going inside, the dark-haired man finds the blonde naked with her fifth point up. Coming even closer, she sees that the girl's head was torn off and carefully placed in the women's toilet. Mizuha screams, and so the guys run into the toilet. The picture shocks everyone. He wants to call the police, but there is no signal. Kazuya collects everything. They say that in such a situation, it is impossible to separate. A little later in class, they discuss the situation. Not only mobile, but it was not possible to call from the city. Since everyone was in the classroom at the time of Ryo's murder, there is no point in suspecting each other. Obviously, there is someone else in the building. Then everyone decides that they need to get out. That's just the only tunnel that leads from this building is blocked by a landslide. Everyone went back to class. The musician says that music saves him in such situations and offers to play a couple of his compositions. Kazu is thinking about hearing. Under the pretext of a wake, someone lured former classmates, and he is sure that Ryo was not killed by accident. I agree with him. Most likely this certain K. is behind the murder, because everything from the class is in place. Except for the deceased. Then for some reason Kazuya suddenly says Kiriko. When asked what, he replies that it's just thinking out loud. I will immediately explain that the names of Kiriko and Suka are written the same way. Masala took out his guitar, offering to calm down after listening to his song. Ignoring him, Kazuya assumes that this Ka is a relative of the bitch who decided to take revenge on them. What has been said surprises me. What to avenge, and was Ryo somehow involved in the death of the bitch? Mizuha says that the bitch had no brothers or sisters, and her parents are now at an advanced age. It's all weird. No one but Setsuka herself can be involved in her death. There was definitely no reason to kill her. The deceased was an excellent student and with a pretty appearance. But the fact that she did it herself is very doubtful, although it is the official version. Kazuki tries to say something, but Cutting interrupts him. He says it would be great if they worked together to solve the cause of the death of the bitch. And at the end, he asks Kazu another question. What does Ryo have to do with the death? Suddenly, the lights go out in an abandoned school. Others think what could have caused it. Kazuya says that Kei, who has gathered everyone, may be behind this. Taking the musician Masao with him, Cutting is going to check the electrical panels while the musician is spinning. Trying to reassure himself that the killer has probably already escaped, Cutting disappears from his field of vision. Left alone, and hearing the sounds of the piano, Masao goes to them and meets a tall, emaciated girl with gray-blue skin, whose long thin fingers run over the keys. She turns around, and the musician recognizes her as the deceased Setsuka. Masao Kata, nervous, picks up the guitar, starting to play along with her and sing along. At the same time, he thinks about how he managed to get into such a situation in general, but as a true poet, he cannot continue to keep emotions to himself. Seth only listens to his singing. While the musician's fingers are running along the strings, he remembers that during her school years, the deceased performed in front of the school all the time, all dressed up and in a beautiful dress. When he's done, he asks the approaching monster, was she that tall before? Cutting, meanwhile, found the shield. Switching the toggle switch, he turned on the lights all over the school again. Returning alone, the main character notices that the musician has disappeared, and thinks that it is good if he has already returned to class. Hearing the instrument, Sharp runs to the music room for Masao. The musician is lying on the piano. His whole body is twisted in an unnatural way. The stand, which holds the instrument's lid open, passes through the musician's mouth and exits through the right cheek. A little later in class, he told everyone about what he saw. Then, the guy remembers seeing both Setsuks in class when he went to the toilet at the very beginning. Then he says, "We will all be killed by Kiriko." Hoping to protect themselves from the monster, former classmates barricaded themselves in the classroom with the help of pairs. This is the only thing that has come to their mind now, but they are aware that if they come for them, this pile of junk will not last long. Cutting asks Kazu what he meant by "we will be killed by Kiriko." Having stopped calling the deceased Setsuka, the specialist reports that he saw her in class on the way to the toilet. Others hardly believe it, and Kazuya understands why. She died, but now she's back and will kill everyone as an accomplice. After graduating from high school, they never met. And finally it happened. And this is exactly what Kiriko was waiting for. The guy shows the letter, saying it's a way to lure the killers to the school to get revenge. It's their curse. The main character tries to calm him down by saying that the dead can't write letters. He then asks what kind of murders and curses Kazuya is talking about. Then he asks the guy not to defame the name of the deceased, calling her a murderer. The guy loses his temper, poking at him with his finger. Kazuya says that although it used to be funny, but he is also guilty and should stop pretending to be a good person. Remembering Setsuke's face, The main character says that an angelic smile has always shone on the girl's face, and she does not deserve such hatred. Kazuya laughs, asking, "What happened then, 16 years ago?" Cutting directly asks what an IT specialist might know, and if K is not Kiriko, then who is? The main character turns to the letter again, saying that someone might want to bring everyone together to solve the mystery of Setsuke's death. It focuses on the line where it says about the opening of the time capsule. Everyone is trying to remember where it was buried. In a flower garden, reminds the writer Hidetaka. The main character is going to go look for this time capsule. Kazuya starts arguing with him, saying that it's better to stay in class and wait for morning. At the same time, a lanky something approaches the classroom window from the street. Seeing Kiriko in the window, who repeats the name of Cutting with a smile, the heroes froze. A long arm breaks through the window. Classmates immediately ran to dismantle the barricade. On the way, Kazuya shouts that Kiriko really came for them. Cutting does not want to believe that this is a bitch creature. Continuing to run, its specialists say sarcastically that if you remember, there were rumors in school days that the main character and the bitch met. Cutting replies that where does he care about Setsuke? Would she date someone like Cutting? This pisses the IT guy off. Stopping, he grabbed at his clothes with the words he tried to pretend. As she approached them, Kiriko repeated Cutting's name. If the main character goes to her now, then the rest will have a chance to survive. Mizuha asks the guys to stop. The writer Hidetaka takes a step forward. He says that one way or another, everyone here will be killed. So what difference does it make who will be the first? Hidetaka keeps talking. Ryo shamelessly slept with the club's visitors, hoping to move up the career ladder. Was fired and forced to work in a club on the outskirts of Tokyo. Masao ruined his parents with his music, having earned nothing from it, so he fled abroad. He also knows Akazu. His company went bankrupt 3 years ago, which is why his wife took the children and left. The writer crosses the line, saying that having children was a mistake because they inherited his loser genes. For this, the pseudo-it guy hits him in the face. "You've always loved swinging your fists," he says. "And how many times did you hit the bitch Akamura? Now it's your turn to be killed." Kiriko is approaching them. The others run, but the writer watches her approach indifferently. Looking at the creature, he says, "She is the only one who understands me." The others stop, and the writer, showing the letter, says, "Ka is me." Kazuya gets angry, asking how to understand this. Is Hidetaka giving Kiriko commands? But no. Ka just sent out a letter to everyone to collect here. In truth, he only wanted to open the time capsule and did not know that everything would end like this. However, he is glad that Setsuke's hatred has taken material form. Hidetaka continues to say, "This world, in his opinion, is filled with grey mediocrity, is afraid of bright personalities, such as the writer himself and the bitch. He suddenly tells me that, in fact, all these incomprehensible book editors have always wrapped up the publication of his works. And Setsuko was the only one who found his writings interesting during his school years. He offers to show her the measure together, but Kiriko did not let him finish, smearing him into pieces with one blow. Getting on all fours, the creature rushed to the survivors. The same ones tried to escape. The monster keeps repeating the Cutting name. The main character hears this on the run, wondering why she keeps calling him. After all, the bitch was his first love, after all. The chase continues. The writer begins to laugh, remembering Hidetaka, because it seems that it was because of the writer that the very bullying began. Sharp hears this, and therefore asks what kind of bullying we are talking about. The former it guy laughs that the main character doesn't really know anything, and is about to explain, when suddenly Kiriko caught up with him, and bit off part of his head. While she eats it, Sharp takes over Mizuha, and together they continue to run away. Breaking away and hiding in the classroom, the last surviving girl begins to cry. Of course, Kiriko wants her dead, too. The bitch was bullied right in front of her eyes, and she just watched and did nothing. Remembering the cute face of the bitch, she does not understand how such a girl could be bullied at all. Mizuha recalls that he once protected Setsuka, after which she began to follow him everywhere. We see a flashback, in which the main character closed the girl with him, promising Ryo, Masao, and Kazui that if they continue to offend the girl, he will not forgive them. Then the bitch started following me everywhere. But the main character does not remember this. The bitch was bullied, he protected her. Bitch liked him. Cutting does not understand anything, and then Mizuha offers to go and find a time capsule together. Having gone to the place that Hidetaka had previously indicated, the heroes found the capsule. There they see a photo of their entire class. Looking at the picture, I panic. With shouts, "Who is it?" He points to the man in the photo, who is dressed exactly like a bitch. What are you talking about? Mizuha doesn't understand. It's Setsuka. He doesn't believe it, because in his memories the girl looked almost like an angel. She couldn't be everyone's favorite. The only logical argument for him is that there are two bitches. Mizuha is trying to drive him crazy. Come to your senses, says a classmate. There was only one bitch, and that's her in the photo. The main character still finds it hard to believe what is happening. Then they find another envelope in the capsule with a letter from the bitch Akamura. After opening it, the survivors see on the first piece of paper the names of all classmates and the repeated word die. On the second piece of iron, I'm sorry, I'm a monster. From this phrase, something clicked in the head of the main character, followed by pain, and with pain, memories of school days. She always looked like this. Classmates gave her bows. They say that it suits her very well, the girl looks just like an idol. In the following memories, a girl in a dress sings and dances to the masala game. Someone sarcastically praises her, someone shouts, "Die, ugly." All this praise of the girl was not sincere, and nothing more than a veiled mockery. The next memory is in the school toilet. Ryo with Masao and Kazuya, under the pretext of making the bitch cool, burn her hands with cigarettes. The girl is in pain, and therefore she cries. The bully is asked not to do this. Such a cutie does not need to cry. Then Setsuka enters with cutting. They say that they have gone too far, and if they continue to offend the girl, he will never forgive them. From such an act, Setsuka beamed. But after that, the main character himself became the object of ridicule. Not only did Setsuka follow him everywhere, but the whole school started laughing at their eternal love. One day, once again walking along the fifth cutting, the future Kiriko suddenly said, "We really look like a couple." Then Kleski, tired of ridicule, suddenly shouted at her, "Why are you always following me? Get out of here, monster." And then he runs away, as Setsu did not approach him anymore. She continued to be bullied, but the main character no longer defended her. The girl put this letter in the time capsule together with her classmates. A little later, walking along the rope bridge, he meets a bitch there. He passes by her and then the girl says, "I'm sorry, I'm a monster." The main character turns to her, starting to apologize, but seeing her from all sides. The cigarette-burned face gets scared and pushes her away. So the girl fell off the bridge and crashed. In the present, Sharp remembers that he killed the bitch. He admits it's all his fault. And now he doesn't know how to live with it. Then suddenly Mizuha opened up. Relatively recently, she met with her boss, who has a wife and children. She naively expected that the boss would choose her, but something went wrong, and now no one needs her. Then she promises that she will take care of Mizuha. But Kiriko appears from behind, repeating his name. Having gained the size of the kaiju level, having destroyed the school, the monster apologizes that she is a monster. Mizuha has fallen. Kiriko is pulling her giant hand towards her. The fishing lines cover the girl with themselves. He apologizes, saying he would like to make amends. The main character says that now they will always be together, and therefore they ask Kiriko to take him with her. His last request is to let Mizuha go. Kiriko lets out a long roar, but nevertheless it disappears. Cutting later says that when he and a classmate came to, there was only a trace of a landslide in that place. The main character thinks that Setsuka has forgiven him. Mizuha takes his hand. As it was later established, the cause of the collapse of the building was a landslide and the very emergency condition of the school. The bodies of Kazuya, Ryo Masao, and Hidetaka remained undiscovered, and there were no traces of Kiriko. A month later, at work, the boss severely chastises him for the article, but he does not take criticism. With a smile on his face, he apologizes and promises that he will redo everything now. He turns around and walks away, thinking that after that meeting, he seemed to have been reborn. Then he looks at the phone, thinking that he and Mizuha have not called for a whole week. After what happened, she and her classmate began to appreciate every moment more, and she and Mizuha no longer look back. While he is sitting at the table, we see Kiriko's giant eye, which continues to watch the hero. The end. I'm sorry, but we can't skip to the sequel. I will talk about everything about the first and the second volume a little later, but now I just want to warn you. Yes, Kiriko is an amateur. Someone will like Manga, someone definitely does not. After a pack of dismemberments, it can feel like a step back at all. However, you immediately need to prepare for the fact that Kiriko kills, judging by the sensations. Was written by the author after sleeping with a 39-degree temperature, after viewing the Death Notebook with the left eye, George with the right, and a parallel Pokemon game. And only because the editor told him to do the second part. And I warn you, most likely, you will laugh. And now we turn to Kiriko kills. I will begin the retelling by immediately introducing our main characters. Minami Sakura, the main character, is new in the company of Igao, then Mamazaki. Very similar to a sharp character, also new to the Igao company. Mitsui as Kujo, president of Igao company. Kudo, senpai Kaomogi Takashi, and Chief Kuzuhara. The second volume begins with a massacre staged by Kirk at the Avalon law firm. Then, the author abruptly switches us to the main character of Manami. She got a job at the Ego company, and today is her first day. Entering the business center, the girl falls and drops her purse, from which all the contents fall out. An unnamed security guard comes to her aid, as well as Toma Yamazaki. He picks up an old player. She doesn't have a mobile phone, so she listens to music on the player. After getting acquainted, the newcomers went to a new job together. There they are introduced to the entire team by President Mitsuhiko. He pushes an inspiring classic speech about everyone being friends here, doing the right thing, asking the old ones to take care of the newcomers, and then starts laughing. The whole team laughs with him. The newcomers froze. Then Mitsuhiko explains that they start every morning in the office with loud laughter because it has been proven that laughter knocks out cells, thanks to which the risk of cancer and other diseases decreases. He invites newcomers to laugh too. A little later, the head of Kuzuhara presents the names to his colleagues. She brought them gifts from the place she came from. Everyone from the empire introduces themselves in turn. The main character is happy that she got to good people first. The head of Kuzuhara gives the first task to bring him tea. The new girl goes to make it, but the necessary bags are too high. Then the boss decides to help her and in the process puts his hand on her fifth point. Minami does not react in any way, writing off as an accident. A little later, she hears Kuzuhara talking about her daughter. So then she only makes sure that it's just her imagination. The new investor approaches the word cow in my comments. The cow offers to get to work. She asks if the girl knows how to use a computer. After receiving a negative answer, Senpai promises that he will teach her. Minami is once again happy that she has such responsive colleagues. It was time for the lunch break, where Minami offers to go together, but the girl took a meal with her. Then he gets under Mogi's shoulder, which takes him away to eat meat. Yamazaki joins the newcomer. He offers to eat together. Seeing this, the cow makes a displeased grimace. They're having a nice chat about music. The author makes a reference to the previous volume, showing Masao Kato from the back. Suddenly, their dialogue is interrupted by Senpai, who asks Minami to go and buy lunch. Then Yuma Yamazaki politely tells the older one to go buy herself lunch because the new girl hasn't finished yet. When the cow shows her true face, she says that she has a lot of work to do because Minami works terribly. The new girl immediately begins to apologize, and therefore, together with Tom, they went to buy food from the Empire. On the street, a guy says he doesn't like her boss. Names too, such a change of behavior is incomprehensible. At the crossroads, they hear news about the monstrous murder of 13 people at the Avalon law firm with which the second volume began. Since the massacre was so brutal that it is not even possible to establish the murder weapon, the police still have no leads. A little later, the senpai cow clung to the names again. She yells at her subordinate for not learning anything at all. Then the manager stands up for the new girl. He offers to conduct an educational program on products in their warehouse. There, this person begins to harass minds. Seeing her reaction, he says that one word and the new girl will be fired. And that, he is sure, would break the heart of her sick mother, who lives in the wilderness. With all his speech, he shows that he knows everything about Minami and about the deplorable state of the financial side of her family. But the girl, despite what has been said, runs away from the warehouse. The manager follows her, but suddenly realizes that the door does not open. While he's making threats, pulling the handle, Kiriko's shadow is heading towards him from behind. Minami, having run to the toilet, begins to cry. Trying to pull herself together, she goes out into the corridor and meets the president there. He asks how her first day went and then repeats that the whole team here is a family. Remembering her mother, the girl thinks that she will endure everything. But we can no longer tolerate it, because in the following frames we see the twisted dead body of the head, which was put in a box. The next chapter begins with a demonstration of the website opened on the phone. It says, "You have witnessed an unforgivable evil. The guardian of justice Kiriko will take upon himself the cleansing of the evil in which our society is mired. Leave a request right here." And then we go back to Gao Court. Minami went into the office. First, she asks if she's okay, and then Takashi asks where Kuzuhara is. Then he invites her to have a drink after work, but the new girl refuses. The guy doesn't let up, and somehow the dialogue gets to the point that Minami hasn't met anyone before. The internal translator has converted the phrase "never met" in "she is a virgin," which makes it even stronger. Then a cow comes up to the table with claims that men are chatting with others instead of working, in addition calling her a salary thief. Where it merges with the heated situation for a break, simultaneously going to check the head. And Senpai is going to continue learning names. How's the training going? It almost brings her to tears. The new girl holds on, remembering her sick mother, who said that if it was hard, let her daughter come back. But he is nevertheless going to hold on with all his might. A woman flies into the office, who informs that Kusakara is dead. Igao employees notice that communication and the internet are not working. Then Mogi is sent to the warehouse by the Skuda. The girls are also in place, but they are standing at a distance. Mogi asks Amanami what she might know about what happened, where she adds that when the new girl returned, she behaved strangely. Everyone is about to accuse the girl of breaking all the bones of a big man and putting him in a square box. When suddenly a second newcomer appears, Tom Yamazaki. He asks everyone to stay calm, and then he also approaches the body. One view is enough to conclude. It's impossible for an adult man to be killed in this way by a girl like Minami. He inspects the area and also notices that there is no latch in the door leading to the warehouse. We have to do something. Since phones and the internet are not working, Yamazaki suggests going down to the street and getting to the police on their own. Except now the elevators don't work either. Tuma has a bad feeling about this. He immediately recalls the brutal murder at the law firm. A terrible picture with an unknown method, without prints and any traces, as if it was the work of the spirit. The new guy asks about Carrick. The others didn't hear anything, but Yamazaki is sure it's her. Kao Senpai doesn't want to listen to anything like that, so she commands everyone to get back to work. If something goes wrong, they still have emergency ladders. She herself will go and inform the president about everything for now. Where will he go to the police at this time? Yamazaki lowers his head with the words that he could not reach the others and immediately says that he does not really believe in it himself. While everyone is sitting at their workplaces, the cow has already returned from the president. Takashi cries, saying, "How is that so?" After all, the head was a very good person who constantly thought about his family. The president comes into the room. He informs all employees about the murder, says he is sure that the police will arrive soon, and asks everyone not to leave the walls of the company. An hour has passed since he left where there are no police yet. Elevators, communications, and internet are still not working. The cow asks Minami to make her coffee. While the new girl is brewing a strong drink, a mosaic appears. The girl says that she is confused, and then the guy asks what she thinks about the deceased. What does she think? Is there any reason why someone might be offended by him? After opening Carrick's website on his phone, he reads out the title. According to his guesses, the site was created by a person, and it is likely that this someone can control the monster. And Nami asks, what is Kiriko in general? Yamazaki admits he had an older sister. A year ago, Mizuho was invited to the school where she once studied. Then something strange happened, because of which 4 classmates died. His sister escaped, but when she returned home, she gradually began to be afraid of something, and eventually, Mizuho locked herself in her room. And so fear brought her to Roskomnadzor. Since then, Yamazaki has been looking for anything that might be related to Kiriko. But he did not think that the company in which he would get a job would be under her attack. The newcomer suggests thinking about some countermeasures. When they return to the office with the names, we see Kiriko behind her back. She reaches out to our main character, but when she turns around, there is no one there. In Mogi's office, Zakuda is going through, who still hasn't returned. In general, it is impossible to work in such an environment. The killer could still be in the building. What Yamazaki says out loud, offering to leave the room by emergency stairs. Picking up a cup of coffee, Corolla expresses disagreement. The president said not to leave the building. The police will arrive soon, and more importantly, there is still a whole tower of papers that she has to fill out with men. And until she finishes, Senpai definitely won't let her go home. Yamazaki is angry at this behavior, but the cow tells the useless novice to be silent. Suddenly, something in the coffee mug catches her attention. She looks down and sees Kiriko looking at her from a mug with a strong drink. With a cry, Senpai dropped the mug, attracting the attention of the others with her behavior. Suddenly, long, thin gray fingers burst out of her eye sockets. The cow's mouth began to stretch unnaturally. The crown of the head appeared in the cavity. Literally, Kiriko began to get out of the senpai, tearing her head into 2 parts. The panic started instantly. Everyone rushed to the exit. Kiriko started killing everyone who came to hand. Thanks to Yamazaki, Minami managed to avoid being hit. In an attempt to escape in the corridor, they stumble upon Takashi. The girl is crying on the floor, saying that it's all her fault. Kiriko was already in the office, dismembered everyone she managed, and ran out into the corridor. Still repeating the name of the fishing line, she began to move forward on all fours. Takashi, Namami, and Yamazaki hid. Our main character is crying, not understanding why this is all happening. Takashi is also in tears and admits that it was she who called Kiriko. The blonde recently stumbled upon this site and left a request, not fully believing that all this could actually happen. At the same time, the targets of her revenge were only the abnormal Kao senpai and the concerned Kuzihara Yamazaki. Ask if she tried to talk about colleagues with the president. She replies that she tried, but the president did not believe her, saying that his employees could not be like that. Thomas says again that probably someone is controlling the monster. Most likely the one who made this site. It is dangerous to stay in place, so our heroes rush to the emergency stairs. Kiriko is already behind me, catching up with Takashi on the ceiling. The monster attacked with 2 legs from above, smashing the head of the summoner. Running out to the emergency stairs, Yamazaki names see that the stairwell is just covered with bodies, and there, somewhere in the distance, lies where? We will learn about this from Mogi. He's crying because he couldn't protect his friend. Then he asks why the monster came to them. Yamazaki Toma says Kiriko's goal is to destroy the company. Meanwhile, a whole crowd of employees gathered at the closed office of the president. Hearing a message about some kind of monster, the man loads the gun. Our heroes are discussing the situation. Before their company, there was an attack on a law firm. This is because the company was mired in corruption, and before that a similar situation occurred with a clinic, where they promoted unscientific treatment, forcing people to give the last money. Probably, the game is also dishonest. Going into a certain data management office where all the staff has already been killed. Mogi says that the telephone fraud department was actually located here. Even before that, there were rumors about the president that he worked for the Yakuza, and this company was actually a fake. He says he didn't know anything about what was happening, and asks why they, ordinary hard workers, are also being punished by this monster. Yamazaki replies that Igao's main function is to provide multi-level marketing for the sale of healthy food products. And by itself, this model of distribution of goods is considered illegal. And therefore, all employees are part of this evil. Just in case, I'll explain that multi-level marketing is mole network marketing anyway. But you need to get out somehow before Kiriko catches up with them. Remembering how the monster kept repeating the name Cutting, Yamazaki again mentally returns to the past. With his sister a year ago, a certain Sharp survived, and apparently, the monster has some kind of strong attachment to this person. Which means you can try to use it somehow to get rid of Kiriko's curse. The cry is heard, "Run away from here." This is the guard who informs that Kiriko is already here. Continuing to move, the heroes stumble upon a crowd at the presidential office. The door opens and President Mitsuhiko appears. He doesn't believe in monsters dressed in a school sailor suit. Yamazaki comes closer, asking if there are any more emergency exits in the building. Hearing from the newcomer again about Kiriko, he asks, are the guys filming some kind of prank? Mogi loses his temper, blaming the main one for the fact that so many people have already died because of him and his corrupt company, including his dear friend. Calling Mogi a monster, the president suddenly pulled out a gun and pointed it at a subordinate. In it, he actually began to see Kiriko. Frightened, Mitsuhiko fired 3 bullets at Moga. When he fell, dozens of tiny Kiriko became visible around his body. The president opens fire and then flees to his office. Manami and Yamazaki also started running. After going upstairs, meeting the guard again, they run out onto the roof. Mitsuhiko, sitting under the table in his office, recalls Mogi's accusations of corruption. It doesn't look like that from his side. All his company did was provide everyone with high-quality goods, which worked to the advantage of the Japanese economy. The little Kiriko appear again. They pounce on him, squeezing out the eyeballs and falling into the eye sockets. Then the president puts a gun in his mouth. On the roof, Yamazaki suddenly asks the guard who opened the door for them how he got to the floor. Is this the same guard who patrolled the first one in the beginning? The answer is simple. At the time of the massacre, he was just patrolling this particular floor. And Nami turns around and sees that Kiriko is behind the guard. Yamazaki reassures the girl, saying that this guy will be fine. The newcomer himself addresses him with the words, "I didn't think that you would come here as a security guard." Cutting Kayam. As Yamazaki has already found out, 2 months ago, he suddenly disappeared. Then his employer also died unexpectedly. At first, the newcomer thought that the survivor suffered the same fate as his sister Mizuha, but when he saw the site about Kiriko, he immediately realized that only one person could figure out how to use the monster's power. In addition, he was haunted by a strange feeling from the very beginning, because the creature could not break the elevators and remove the latch from the door. Cutting takes off his cap, confessing that this is true. He used Kiriko to kill everyone. Thanks to the site, he received applications and judged who needed to be finished with using a monster. I've known cutting mosaics since childhood, and now he's wondering what happened to him. How that kid who was friends with his sister suddenly turned into a mad killer. But he doesn't consider himself insane. On the contrary, he is sure that a madman would not be able to pull off something like this. Once upon a time, due to the fault of the main character of the first part, Seth Bitch Akamura died. A year ago, her evil spirit returned and began to take revenge. She spared Cutting and Mizuha, and the survivors thought that was the end of it. But a month later, Mizui was gone. Kiriko was watching them all the time. Realizing that there was no escape from her, at first she suffered, but in the end he realized that this was his chance to atone for his sins. This country is rotting right now, he says. So I thought, if I use Kiriko to destroy the prevailing evil, then I will give an opportunity to grow a better society. I don't care about the number of victims. I decided to become heartless in order to build a perfect future. I'm going to change Japan with Kiriko. This is my redemption. I'm Mosaic screaming for him to wake up, because what does he want to change by just killing people? But Sharp now clearly sees his goal. He saw her back when Kiriko killed his pervert boss. Then he realized that his destiny was to become the savior of this world who would cleanse him from evil. He finishes his tirade with Lami that he is sure Mizuha is smiling now, watching him. Yamazaki disagrees because his sister wouldn't be happy to see her former classmate kill people. But he doesn't even consider it murder, he calls it purification. A little later, Kiriko's influence will become so well known that it will turn into a factor that restrains evil. And therefore, one of the main characters of the second part will have a special role to tell everyone about what happened here. Sharp commands Kiriko to give it. The monster spits out a gun at his feet. The savior of the new world says that only one will be released. They themselves must give out who will die. Manami picks up the gun, but hands it over to Ya Mosaics. She cries, saying that she wants him to live. The novice accepts the gun, but instead of shooting at the girl, the cross rushes headlong, dodges Kiriko, goes behind the opponent's back, and puts the muzzle to his head. He says that Ryosuke commanded Kiriko never to harm us. The savior of the future world without evil carries out the order. Slowly retreating to the edge of the roof with him, Yamazaki says, "Please die with me," and then jumps off the roof with the cutting. Having acquired such gigantic forms that the roof already breaks, Kiriko screams. From the destruction, he falls down. Seeing this, Yamazaki seemed to realize that he hadn't thought through the plan very well. The monster stretched out her hand to them. She caught Yamazaki with names as well. Well, and Cutting at the same time, which approvingly shouts that he likes that his girlfriend's brother was ready to sacrifice himself. This time, he will make an exception and spare both of them. Kiriko takes to the air and then flies away. Mosaics look at it, saying out loud that with such power, Cutting will definitely destroy Japan. And so he will do everything to kill this guy and wipe the monster off the face of the earth. A month later, Lesky reads about the incident in the newspaper, marveling at the incompetence of the police. But now he's more worried that Yamazaki Toma hasn't found him yet. Anyway, now we need to hurry up and destroy the most rotten place in Japan. He commands Kiriko to kill while standing in front of the Japanese Parliament building. The end. I have only one question. Why did I need to do the second part? The first, short, only 5 chapters, is a rather simple, but not devoid of charm chamber story with notes of sadness. The heroes mocked the girl. Eventually she died, but the accumulated pain and resentment did not let her calm down, turning into a monstrous monster. She commits a brutal massacre of some, and leaves others alive to drive them crazy for the rest of their days. The story is over, that's it, finita la comedy. But suddenly there is a continuation, which is made as if against the will of the mangaka himself. If the first part was perceived naturally, then everything here seems to be on purpose. Some characters are suddenly deliberately angry, some are suddenly deliberately preoccupied. In the first part, a slight deception of the reader's expectations is created due to the fact that the characters seem to treat Setsuka well. Here you immediately wonder why she is taking revenge if everyone loved her, and moreover, why the main goal is Cutting. The rationale comes out simple, and for some, even predictable, but nevertheless elegant within the framework of the plot. In the second part, but I don't even know who else could create a website with Kiriko and accept applications for the destruction of evil. Anyone but Cutting. The continuation is perceived funny in isolation from the main story, but with it the impression is the same. The continuation was not necessary. It's like watching Friday the 13th, and then Jason 10, where the hero of the first part is dug up in the future 400 years later. God, I don't filter the content I consume at all. Moreover, some scenes cannot even be taken seriously. Carrick's little ones made me laugh, and when she flew at the end, I completely tore up. And how in general did the fishing line manage to Pokemon her? Kiriko left him alive for a reason, but suddenly forgave him a little later, becoming a monster. Because of a personal grudge against a person. For the sake of him, she is ready to kill everyone, regardless of whether the individual is good or bad. Since the appearance of the cutting in the second part, the aura of the evil spirit has simply dissipated. Setsu's drama was cancelled, and Kiriko began to be perceived more as a stand to give a diss Dandara Kiriko. The hardware itself and its attempt to become a new Kira also caused more laughter. All of this could have been omitted if such a strong dissonance between the first and the second part had not been created. In addition, judging by the finale, Honda also planned or is planning a third. Anyway, I wonder what you think about these two works. Share your opinion in the comments. And that's it for today. I love everyone and bye to everyone.